Title: My insurance just canceled me. No reason given. Let me start with a message I woke up to one morning. Not a phone call. Not a warning. Just a short email. Your aviation insurance policy has been canceled, effective immediately. No explanation. No accident on record. No claim filed. No violation. Just canceled. If you're a pilot or thinking about becoming one, this is something nobody really prepares you for. And lately, it's happening more often than people realize. So in today's video, I want to tell you the full story of what happened, why aviation insurance companies sometimes drop pilots without explanation, and what you can do to protect yourself. And if you're flying or thinking about buying aircraft like a Cessna 172 Skyhawk, Cirrus SR-22, Beechcraft Bonanza G36, or even stepping up to something like a Pilatus PC-12 NGX or Honda Jet Elite 2, this topic matters more than you think. Because losing insurance can ground you overnight. And yes, it almost happened to me. Let's rewind a bit. For years, I had a perfectly clean flying history. No incidents, no claims, no scary stories. I'd flown a range of aircraft over time, from simple trainers like the Cessna 150 and Piper PA-28 Cherokee, all the way to more capable aircraft like the Mooney M20U Ovation Ultra and Diamond DA-40 Star. Eventually, I moved into a Cirrus SR-22, great airplane, fast, capable, comfortable for cross-country travel. Everything was going smoothly. Insurance renewal came every year, rates changed a little, but nothing dramatic. Then one year, things got weird. Instead of a renewal notice, my broker called me, and his voice had that tone. You know the one. Hey, we need to talk. Never a good start. He told me the underwriter had decided not to renew my policy. Not because of an accident, not because of a violation, not because of a claim. They simply reassessed risk. That was the phrase, risk reassessment. Now, if you're new to aviation, that might sound harmless. But in reality, aviation insurance companies are extremely conservative. They look at dozens of factors: your age, your total flight hours, your hours in type, where you fly, where the aircraft is based, runway length, weather patterns, even the aircraft model itself. And certain airplanes, especially high-performance ones, can suddenly fall out of favor. For example, insurers sometimes tighten rules around aircraft like the Lancair 4P, Extra 330 LX, or even high-performance singles like the Cessna TTX. Not because the airplane is unsafe, but because statistically, claims spike in certain categories. And when that happens, insurers quietly start backing away. At first, I thought this must be some mistake. So I asked the obvious question: why? My broker paused, then said something interesting. They don't have to give a reason. That's when I realized something many pilots don't know. Aviation insurance companies can decline renewal without explanation. And when they do, finding a replacement policy can suddenly become much harder, because other insurers start asking questions. Why did the previous company leave? And if nobody knows the answer, it creates uncertainty. Now imagine this scenario. You own a Cessna 182 Skylane, or maybe a Piper PA-32 Saratoga Lance. You've had the airplane for years, hangared, well-maintained. Then one day your insurance disappears. You can't legally fly without it. You can't sell the aircraft easily, and some airports won't even allow operations without liability coverage. So suddenly, your airplane becomes grounded. This is exactly the situation many owners have found themselves in recently, especially owners of aircraft like the Beechcraft Baron G58, Diamond DA62, or Piper Seneca V. Multi-engine aircraft carry higher liability exposure. When the insurance market tightens, those aircraft often feel it first. Let me pause here and ask you something. If you're watching this and you already own an airplane, have you ever had insurance issues? Rate spikes, policy restrictions, non-renewal warnings? I'd really like to hear your experiences. Leave a comment below and share your story. Because the reality is, the aviation insurance market is changing fast, and the more pilots talk about it, the better prepared everyone becomes. Back to my situation. My broker started calling other companies, and what we discovered was surprising. Some insurers simply refused to quote. Others offered coverage, but with serious restrictions. Higher deductibles, mandatory additional training, minimum runway length requirements. One even asked that I complete transition training in a Diamond DA-40 Star before returning to the Cirrus SR-22. That seemed strange at first, but their reasoning was simple. Insurance companies love predictable risk. Aircraft like the Cessna 172 Skyhawk, Piper Cherokee 140, and Diamond DA-40 Star have incredibly well-documented safety records. They're stable, forgiving airplanes. Moving back into those types, even temporarily, can make insurers more comfortable. But here's where things got really interesting. My broker explained something happening across the industry. Insurance companies were quietly pulling away from certain categories entirely. For example, high-performance experimental aircraft like the Van's RV-10 or RAN's S-21 Outbound. STOL aircraft, such as the Just Aircraft Super STOL, Kit Fox Series 7, or Zenith CH-750 STOL. Even Bush-style aircraft like the Cubcrafters X-Cub, Aviate Husky, and de Havilland Canada DHC-2 Beaver were seeing higher premiums. Why? Because insurers were seeing increasing accident severity. Not necessarily more accidents, but more expensive ones. Carbon fiber structures, glass cockpits, complex avionics. A damaged Cirrus SR-22 or Mooney M20U Ovation Ultra can cost far more to repair than an older metal trainer. And when you move into turboprops or jets, the numbers explode. Take aircraft like the Daher TBM 960 or Pilatus PC-12 NGX, fantastic machines. But repair costs are enormous. Then there are jets like the Cessna Citation Longitude, Embraer Praetor 600, Falcon 10X, Gulfstream G800, or the upcoming Global 8000. Insurance companies calculate risk very differently at that level. A single claim can run tens of millions of dollars. So underwriters constantly adjust their exposure. Sometimes that means raising premiums. Sometimes it means requiring simulator training. And sometimes it means quietly dropping pilots they consider borderline risk, even if those pilots have never had a claim. In my case, the broker finally found a company willing to insure me. But the premium had jumped almost 40%. Same airplane, same pilot, same hangar, 40% higher. And the policy required annual training in aircraft similar to the Cessna 210 Centurion or Cessna Turbo 206H Stationaire HD, essentially high-performance single-engine aircraft with similar handling characteristics. It wasn't catastrophic, but it was a wake-up call. Because I realized something important. Insurance isn't just about your flying ability. It's about market conditions. You could be the safest pilot flying a Diamond DA-62 or Beechcraft King Air 36ER and still lose coverage if the industry shifts. And that brings us to something worth discussing together. If you're a newer pilot or someone considering buying your first airplane, insurance should absolutely be part of your planning. For example, if you buy something simple like a Grumman AA1, Aeropract A22 Foxbat, or Pipistrel Virus SW, insurance is usually manageable. Move up to a Cessna 182 Skylane or Piper Saratoga, and the requirements increase. Step into turboprops like the Quest Kodiak 100, Cessna 208 Caravan, or Daher TBM 850/900 series, and insurers will almost always demand structured training. And jets, like the Cirrus Vision Jet SF50, Honda Jet Elite, or Honda Jet Elite 2, almost always require simulator programs. Not optional, mandatory. So here's something I'm curious about. If you were choosing your next airplane today, would insurance influence your decision? Would you choose a Cessna 172 Skyhawk over something faster? Would you avoid experimental aircraft like the Van's RV-10? Or would you still go for the dream airplane regardless of insurance complications? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely interested in how different pilots think about this. There's also another side to this story. Age. Many of you watching this channel are experienced professionals, retired engineers, doctors, business owners, people finally stepping into aviation later in life. And that's wonderful. But the insurance industry does look closely at age, especially for complex aircraft. For example, insurers may treat a 70-year-old pilot flying a Beechcraft Bonanza G36 differently than a 45-year-old pilot with the same hours. Some companies impose extra training requirements after certain ages. Others simply reduce available coverage limits. And occasionally, they stop offering policies altogether, not because the pilot did anything wrong, just risk modeling. In fact, one broker told me something that stuck with me. He said, "The safest pilots often get caught in insurance market shifts because the companies aren't evaluating individuals as much as they're managing overall exposure. If they insure too many Cirrus SR-22, Mooney Ovation, or Cessna TTX aircraft, they may start reducing those portfolios, which means perfectly good pilots lose policies." Looking back, I'm actually grateful this happened because it forced me to think about aviation from a different angle. Not just flying skill, but the business side of flying, insurance, maintenance costs, parts availability, things that become very important as aircraft become more advanced. Whether you're flying a Piper Cub J3, a Diamond DA-42 Twin Star, or a Pilatus PC-12, the economics behind aviation matter, and insurance is a huge part of that equation. So if you take one lesson from this video, it's this. Never assume your insurance will always be there. Maintain training, log your hours carefully, stay current, and build a relationship with a good aviation insurance broker. Because when something unexpected happens, they're the ones who can save you. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had aviation insurance problems? Premium increases? Coverage restrictions? Or maybe you've been lucky and never experienced this at all. Share your story in the comments, because these conversations help the entire pilot community understand what's really happening behind the scenes. And if you're currently flying aircraft like the Cirrus SR-22, Cessna 182 Skylane, Piper Malibu, or even stepping up to something like the King Air 260 or Piper M600S SLS, your experience could really help someone else preparing for that step. Thanks for watching. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the next one.